Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inum, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warns Nigerian pilgrims to Israel, Jordan against abscondment. TED Fund holds 2025 South-South Stakeholders Town Hall meeting in Uyo. Plus, Trump announces new tariffs on drugs, trucks, and kitchen cabinets. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. Our first report this morning is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has warned Nigerians going for pilgrimage in Israel and Jordan against abscondment, saying there is no country like Nigeria. The president gave the warning when he officially flagged off the Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission's NCPC delayed Easter pilgrim exercise to Israel and Jordan at the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport in Owerri, Imo State capital. President Tinubu, who was represented at the flag-off ceremony by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Senator George Akume, emphasized the significance of pilgrimage as a spiritual journey of faith. He commended the Executive Secretary of NCPC, Bishop Stephen Adegbite, for his innovative leadership and successful conduct of 4 pilgrimages to the Holy Land. On his part, the Executive Secretary of the NCPC, Bishop Stephen Adegbite, commended the President and Governor Hope Uzodinma for their support and urged the intending pilgrims to be good ambassadors of Christ and Nigeria. Meanwhile, about 350 intending Christian pilgrims from Imo and Abia states were airlifted for the first time in the history of Christian pilgrimage in Imo State to the Holy Land from Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport. Away from that, the federal government has reaffirmed the tuition and approved charges in all federal technical colleges. FTCS remains completely free, stressing that no Nigerian child should be denied access to technical education because of unauthorized payments. Minister of Education Tunji Alausa said via the ministry's official X handle that the fully government-funds tuition alongside approved costs such as boarding, uniforms, textbooks, exercise books, ID cards, stationery, clubs and societies, medical vocational training, utilities, security, website, e-results, school media, extra lessons and insurance. He warned that no principal or administrator is permitted to impose extra levies on parents or guardians, adding that circulars reinforcing this policy would be distributed to all schools and parents to eliminate any ambiguity. The minister clarified, however, that while the government covers tuition and major expenses, boarders and federal technical colleges are still expected to provide personal items such as beddings, toiletries, school shoes, uniform for religious observances, mosquito nets, cutlery, and other essentials. According to the ministry, the initiative reflects President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which prioritizes technical and vocational education and training as a key driver of human capital development. Meanwhile, the ministry further assured that monitoring mechanisms are already in place to swiftly address infractions and safeguard the integrity of free education policy. Meanwhile, the Minister of Education, Maruf Alausa, has said that the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to restoring the dignity of the teaching profession and redesigning Nigeria's educational curriculum to meet the demands of the 21st century. Alausa stated this while delivering a speech at a colloquium named The Future of Africa, organized to celebrate the 80th birthday of the former Minister of Education, Professor Tunde Adeniran, at the International Conference Center, University of Ibadan, Oyo State. Represented by the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Kayode Adebowale, the minister explained that the government's priority is to revolutionize the nation's education system by equipping young Nigerians with critical thinking, innovation, and entrepreneurial skills. He added that the future demands Nigerians move beyond rhetoric and embrace decisive action in future key areas, curriculum revolution and skills investment in teacher quality, access, equity, and inclusion. As still in education, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, has reaffirmed its determination to institutionalize transparency, accountability and inclusivity in the way it delivers educational interventions. The fund made the commitment at the 2025 Board of Trustees Town Hall meeting for South-South Beneficiaries Institution held in New York. Our correspondent Esther Otoyo, who was at the event, brings details.
Who share the responsibility of advancing higher education in Nigeria. The Board of Trustees recognizes that the fund cannot thrive in isolation, responsive to the aspirations of tertiary institutions and align with the development of tertiary education of our country.
Several speakers in their presentations highlighted difficulties faced by Nigerian universities, polytechnics and colleges of education, such as poor infrastructure, underfunding, brain drain, and low research output. While identifying the contributions of TETFund, they recommended more support for digital learning infrastructures and innovations.
That President Tinubu assumed office in May 2023 with an economy faced with multiple challenges such as what? Very sluggish growth of the economy, falling revenues, crippling subsidy system, banditry, public discontentment over the deterioration of living standards. His administration interpreted this, characterized these challenges as a period and a time of monumental challenges in our country that we're going through a very serious crucible in our country. And then to show up our hope, he came up with a promise. And at this time, needed to take bold steps, sometimes very painful steps. And then he brought this promise to renewed hope, and then identified TETFund as a critical channel for translating this vision into tangible results, with a mandate to manage tax, education tax collected from the company for public tertiary institutions.
Therefore, remain the only source of supplementary capital projects for public universities, technology, and university polytechnics and co-education. We must have targeted PhD and postdoc scholarship in strategic fields. We must also have trained the trainer and better teaching methods, to be started in the schools. We must also have fellowship programs for industry placement
Participants applauded TechFund, noting that the meeting provided an opportunity for open dialogue on the challenges confronting the sector and the solutions needed to address them. They, however, rejected President Tinubu's 10 million naira loan to tertiary education lecturers, demanding for a more sustainable intervention.
TechFund has done so much for us as an institution. But first of all, some observations. The quality of projects. The money has not changed, but the cost of materials to do this project have increased. TechFund should look at the quality of projects done, the people you send to come and supervise those projects. You must know them properly.
Last year or so, TechFund was serious about security of these facilities, and I was in that meeting, one of those meetings, where we were promised that plans would be made for protection of these facilities being introduced in our colleges. But this year, any of such. And I wish something has to be done.
I believe that Directorate of Academic Planning and other directorates should be sponsored for TechFund conferences and workshops to ease the financial burden of the beneficiary institutions.
This thing that we've done today will give us a pathway to develop an university for more rapid.
The town hall meeting featured interactive sessions among participants. Esther Otoyo, Spectrum News.
In politics, ahead of the 2027 general elections, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has attended a closed-door meeting of African Democratic Congress ADC coalition leaders in Abuja. The closed-door meeting, held at an undisclosed venue in the Federal Capital Territory, was attended by former Senate President and ADC National Chairman David Mark, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, also represented were former Minister of Digital Economy Isa Pantami, former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, former Kwara State Governor Abdul Fatai Ahmed, and former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amici. Atiku confirmed his presence through a post on X, where he described the gathering as part of a broader resistance movement. The former vice president emphasized that the opposition bloc is determined to present a credible alternative to President Tinubu's administration. According to him, discussions at the meeting centered on strengthening unity within the opposition bloc and harmonizing strategies for the 2027 election. At the top of the resolutions was the suspension of efforts to register the proposed All-Democratic Alliance, ADA, which the coalition had earlier applied to the Electoral Commission for recognition. On security, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a warning to officers of the Nigerian Police Force to stay clear of land disputes and other civil cases. In a video post on the force's X handle, the IGP declared that officers have no business escorting parties for land recovery. The police chief warned that the Nigerian Police Force is not an enforcer for private businesses. According to him, such actions by officers bring the force into disrepute, stressing that any officer found culpable will face disciplinary actions. And now to Africa, where former President Peter Mutharika is set to return to Malawi's top office after winning 56% of the vote in the September 2025 presidential election. The Malawi Electoral Commission officially declared Mutharika president-elect alongside Vice President-elect Justice Dr. Jane Ansha Mutharika, who previously led the country from 2014 to 2020, replaces incumbent Lazarus Chakwera, who garnered just 33% and conceded defeat in a televised address hours before the final announcement. And still in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo is grappling with a new outbreak of Ebola, as health officials have confirmed 11 additional cases in the Bulape health zone of Kasai province. The outbreak remains concentrated in 6 health areas: Bambale, Bulape, Bulape Communitare, Dikolo, in Congo, and Mpianga. Reports say at September 21st, 2025, the total number of reported cases increased to 57, comprising 47 confirmed and 10 probable cases. According to the report, the outbreak has claimed 35 lives, including 25 confirmed and 10 probable cases, resulting in an overall case fatality ratio of 61.4%. On the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has announced a new wave of tariffs, including a 100% levy on branded drug imports unless a firm is building a manufacturing plant in the U.S. Trump, who announced the new tariffs on his social media platform, said Washington will also impose a 25% tariff on imports of old heavy-duty trucks and 50% levies on kitchen and bathroom cabinets. The U.S. president highlighted reasons to include large-scale flooding of these products into the United States by other outside countries, citing the need to protect American manufacturers from foreign imports. The announcement comes despite calls from U.S. businesses from the White House to not impose further tariffs. And still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Turkey to stop buying oil from Russian, part of a wider drive to cut off Moscow's energy funding as the war in Ukraine rages on. Speaking alongside President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at the White House, Trump said halting those imports would be the best thing his Turkish counterpart could do. However, the Oval Office meeting ended without any firm commitments to lift the U.S. sanctions on Turkey or sell advanced F-35 fighter jets, although Trump expressed optimism about both issues. And still to come in the news. Super Eagles to face Colombia in friendly November. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned, and we go over to the rest of the news stories. In business, the management of Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals has embarked on a sweeping reorganization of its operations and workforce. The refinery said the decision was taken in response to repeated sabotage by staff members that threatened the operational safety of the 650,000 barrels per day facility. In a letter dated September 24, 2025, and signed by the Chief General Manager, Human Asset Management, Femi Adekunle, the refinery said it was constrained to carry out a total reorganization of the plant following many recent cases of reported sabotage in different units of the petroleum refinery, leading to major safety concerns. Affected staff were directed to hand over all company property to the aligned managers and await clearance before receiving their entitlements, which the Finance Department would compute in line with their conditions of service. However, a senior official of Dangote Petroleum Refineries and Petrochemicals dismissed reports that the company sacked workers en masse, insisting that the recent development was a reorganization exercise aimed at curbing sabotage within the plant. And still in business, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, has called on the World Bank to support Nigeria's Renewed Hope World Development Program, a grassroots initiative he described as central to achieving President Bola Tinubu's target of building a $1 trillion economy by 2030. Bagudu made the appeal in Abuja during a meeting with the World Bank new country director, Matthew Vergis. According to the minister, the world-level scheme is designed to stimulate local economies, drive inclusive growth, and lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty. He stressed that while his ministry would coordinate the program, it would be implemented collaboratively with federal, state, and local governments. And still in health, the federal government has introduced a new policy framework aimed at standard raising the procurement of medicines and health products across the country as part of a move to enhance quality, affordability and transparency in the healthcare system. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement, Maman Amadou, disclosed this in Abuja during the Celebration of Success ceremony held for graduates of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply. Amadou explained that the new framework introduces clear and standardized procedures for sourcing, purchasing, and delivering of medicines and medical supplies to public health institutions nationwide. In health, the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria, ACPN, has urged the federal government to officially designate community pharmacists across the country as primary healthcare centers, insisting that pharmacists remain the most accessible healthcare professionals and play a pivotal role in national health delivery. In a statement, the national chairman of the association, Ambrose Eze, described the theme of this year's World Pharmacist Day observance pharmacist as a timely reminder of the irreplaceable position of pharmacists in ensuring quality care, expanding access to services and strengthening the Nigerian health system. Eze noted that in most communities, the pharmacist is the first point of contact for patients, providing immediate, professional and reliable interventions for individuals and families. He explained that community pharmacies have increasingly become hubs for public health campaigns, ranging from vaccination drives to screening programs for hypertension, diabetes and other chronic conditions. And to the world of sports, where the Super Eagles of Nigeria will face Colombia in an international friendly in November. The friendly will hold at the Citi Field in New York on Tuesday, November 18th. Eric Shell's side have another friendly lined up against Venezuela before the clash with the Cafeneros on Friday, November 14th at Shell Energy Stadium, Houston. The Super Eagles will use the games against Venezuela as part of their preparations for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, which will be hosted by Morocco in December. They will be in action against Crocodiles of Lesotho and Squirrels of Benin Republic in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers next month. And still in sports, former Arsenal and Chelsea striker Oliver Giroud netted the winning goal as Lille beats Brann in the Europa League. The 38-year-old former France international, who joined the club in July after departing Los Angeles FC, nodded home a Thiago Santos cross at the back post to seize victory. It means Giroud, who turns 39, has now scored 3 goals in his 5 competitive matches for the League One club. Hamza Igamane had opened the scoring for Lille after 54 minutes, sliding in the back post to tap in after Matias Fernandez Parado ran down the wing before squaring the ball across the face of the goal. Seva Magensen equalized soon after for Brann, slotting inside the FAR post as the Norwegians countered, but Giroud's 80th minute goal sealed victory for the French side. On our entertainment news, Nigerian music superstar Oluwatobiloba Anidugbe, popularly known as Kiss Daniel, has debunked a viral report claiming that a court ordered the freezing of his personal and business accounts over a contract dispute. The report, which spread widely on social media, alleged that the Buga hitmaker was directed to pay 200,000 euros in damages for failing to honor a show despite receiving a $50,000 advance payment, and that his accounts were frozen by court order. A statement released by Kiss Daniel's team described the report as false, misleading, and a deliberate attempt to tarnish the artist's reputation. The singer's team vowed to take legal action against those behind the fake report, emphasizing that the artist remains focused on his music and upcoming shows. And that's all we have for you on the news at this hour. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.